What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes or so, and it regards Anthony Martial. It's just kind of exploded really quickly over the course of the last few hours. So we've heard lots of reports, haven't we, about Martial, his future, etc. We really heard today that there was this big, I guess, just development when it came to a potential loan move to Sevilla. We know that Sevilla has been interested in him the entire transfer window. It's the club that Anthony Martial wants to go to. There was lots of back and forth about whether or not Sevilla were going to pay his wages, a loan fee. It looked like it wasn't going to happen. And then, as I mentioned, over the course of the last few hours, just really, again, from this sort of late evening or late afternoon into the evening, there was a case of Martial, this move looks like it's going to happen. Sevilla are going to pay his wages. They're going to basically give Manchester United what they want. And the reason we're going live right now is because Fabrizio Romano, when he says here we go, it's pretty much a done deal. It's confirmed. And this is what Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted in the last half hour. He has tweeted, quote, Anthony Martial from Manchester United to Sevilla, done deal, and here we go. Agreement reached tonight between the two clubs. Player has accepted. Sevilla was his priority. Sevilla will cover his salary until June. Martial will fly to Spain in the next hours. So Martial, he is gone temporarily till the end of the season on loan to Sevilla after coming back into the side this weekend, after playing a part into the goal that secured Manchester United the victory against West Ham. He is gone. The first departure of the January transfer window is Anthony Martial. He is going on loan to Sevilla. It's happening. I can barely catch my breath. It's been very hectic, guys. It's been very hectic. But what are you guys thinking about this? What is your impression? Is it kind of that situation now whereby you're like, yeah, he should go. But then when you saw on the thumbnail, you can see in Fabrizio Romano's tweets, they've got, it's not the actual picture, by the way, of him actually in the Sevilla kit. It's a very, very, very good Photoshop. They're very good at what they do. Nevertheless, when you see him in the Sevilla kit, you start to go, did your heart sink a little bit? Or are you glad? Okay, right, we're getting some names out of the door. Now we can maybe bring a name in. We've always said it's probably going to be a one in, one out policy this transfer window. We're hearing stuff about Jesse Lingard as well. That looks like it really, really could happen over the course of the next 48 hours. Are we now looking at Martial, Lingard both going and potentially a name coming in as well? What are you guys thinking? As I try and get some of the more details about this, to be honest with you, and again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm really not, because last week I was saying, you know what? It should be, he should go. If he's unhappy, he should go. That was always going to be my thought process on it. I did think, though, to be honest with you, I really did think that given his involvement over the weekend, given that he came on, given that he played a part in the goal, and given that Ralf Rangnick after the game was hugging him and talking up his professionalism and saying how professional Anthony Martial had been in training and on the pitch, and that's what he expected, I thought, you know what? Maybe he might stay. Maybe he might stay till the end of the season. Maybe this is Ralf Rangnick and Manchester United realising we can still use Martial. Maybe he will have some game time and maybe he can contribute. I thought that maybe the idea of Martial leaving in this transfer window was over. And then, if anything, it's had the opposite effect. I truly believe that Sevilla maybe might have been slightly on the fence about paying the full wages and maybe the loan fee, etc. And then they saw Anthony Martial come on against West Ham this weekend and thought, I tell you what, let's get him, right? If we were a little bit on the fence, screw it. We're going to go and get him now. And that looks to be what's happened. Super chat from Malik says, yay, now we get to watch Rashford, Alanga and Greenwood cut in and shoot while Ronaldo and Cavani get mad. Great job, United. I appreciate the contribution, Malik. If you can also get your super chats up on the screen as well. Click the $sign. It's an interesting one because, again, it's just really developed very quickly. Again, I'll try and get a look at some more details here. For instance, and this is what has been quite difficult today, frankly, full transparency, is there's been a lot of reports and you never really know what is fact, what is fiction. A lot of the time it's in between. So for instance, I can see a lot of you saying it in the live chat there in the free seats. You get reports out of Spain. This is from Matteo Moretto from Spain, saying that Anthony Martial to Sevilla was very hot. This was a few hours ago, saying that he had accepted a salary reduction. So potentially the reason as to why this deal's gone through is because he's accepted a salary reduction. However, on the flip side of things, Fabrizio Romano is then saying in his, Sevilla will cover his salary until June. So are they saying that's full salary, or are we saying that's only a partial salary as well? It's a curious one, because Lil Yo-Yo's saying Sevilla were never going to pay him 250k, but at the same time, Romano's saying that he's having his salary covered. So, and does this mark the end of Martial's tenure at United? As far as we know, I don't think there's a buyback clause, a mandatory obligation to buy or an option to buy, as I'm aware. Again, we're trying to sort of figure this out as we go. Let's start with Mr. Owen, Mr. Reliable, big up. Yeah, it's been, I'll tell you what, it's been, the last couple of minutes, it's been hectic. But again, it's only really in the last hour or so, because I'm looking back to the news breaking over the course of the last hour. It's only an hour ago that Simon Stone was saying that Sevilla have made an offer for Anthony Martial. The deal would cover his wages. Manchester United are yet to decide, but they obviously have decided there. As Martin B says, there isn't a buy option. Yes, so James there, big up James, says, reading into it, both can be true. They could pay him 150k and he's taken a cut to 150k, so United pay nothing. That is a possibility as well. Again, we're going to have to, whilst we're live, we'll find out these more minutiae details here. But I think that when it does come to Martial's exit, again, a couple of weeks ago, and I suppose my position really hasn't changed here, is that almost, and I guess you kind of have to take the weekend out of it, right? If he's not happy and the weekend hasn't changed anything, and realistically, why would it? Why would the weekend really change anything for him? If he's unhappy, and yeah, he came on and yeah, he contributed to the goal, but he still might feel the same. He might have made up his mind a long time ago. He might have made his mind up, well, according to his agent, he did as soon as Ralf Rangnick really came in, right? One of the first things that Ralf Rangnick had to deal with when he came into the club was Anthony Martial's agent coming out saying that he's actively looking for a move away from Manchester United, and that's exactly what's happened. So one would assume that Martial really actually made his mind up a while ago, and the coming on at the weekend and positively contributing, and the atmosphere after the West Ham game has really meant nothing, and that his decision was made up, and he just wants to play football, and he wants to play regular football. And make no mistake as well, when it comes to Sevilla are doing very well in La Liga this season. So it's not as if he's going into a struggling side either. And I think it's interesting too, on the day that these rumours about Julian Lopetegui still being linked to the Manchester United job. There was a report that came out today talking about Richard Arnold beginning the permanent search for the next Manchester United manager, and the names considered with the likes of Pochettino, Ten Hag, Luis Enrique, and Julian Lopetegui. So even that's curious. You know, you could look into it so many different ways. Are United trying to begin a bit of a dialogue when it comes to Sevilla as well? This is a curious report here from Chris Winterburn, who is a staff writer for Marca, obviously based in Spain as well, saying that Sevilla and Manchester United have reached an agreement over Anthony Martial's loan. United are thought to be receiving around 4 to 5 million, or they will save that in salary costs. So again, I don't think, and I might be wrong here, because again, as anything with Manchester United, there is just a tidal wave of information right now, a tidal wave of information and details, and quite a lot of it, frankly, contradict each other. But the general thing, if you believe Chris Winterburn here, is saying that United are either going to receive 4 to 5 million, or they believe they will save that in salary costs. Again, whether that's because Sevilla, and this is what Romano's saying, that they'll cover Martial's wages. We just don't know how much it is. So it is curious. It is curious. But I think that, you know, does this begin the end for Martial, do you think? Is this the beginning of the end as to a permanent departure? Obviously, it's a loan right now. But does it begin that when it comes to the summer, he's going to go, you know what, I'm happy that I'm playing away from United. I'm happy I'm playing, and this is the beginning of the end. Will Sevilla, decide to try and make that deal permanent, even though there isn't an option to buy? Or is this just a case of Martial, a bit like Jesse Lingard last season, whereby he's looking at it as, actually, you know what, I just want to play. All I do is want to play football at the moment. That's it. And maybe once that loan deal's up in the summer, I'll come back to a club that might be completely different. And this is something to consider too when it comes to Martial, right? Is that he could go away to Sevilla and do excellent for the remainder of the season. He could score a ton of goals. He could, perform really well, and then be coming back into a club with a completely different manager. Say it is Pochettino, say it is Ten Hag, say it is whoever. And then maybe Pochettino or Ten Hag says, no, I really, legitimately, I'm gonna play you. You're part of my plans. I almost look at it as maybe a bit of a Jesse Lingard situation, in just a case if he wants to get some game time. But again, this is what's always interesting when you go live as well, when news is just breaking too. So. Shout out to someone in the chat who just said, Adnan says, Fabrizio, new tweet. Appreciate that. Everyone, you can be my little minions this evening. Whilst I'm figuring this all out, you can let me know about this news when it's breaking. So Romano has just tweeted, indeed, saying, quote, Anthony Martial will fly to Sevilla on Tuesday with his agent Philippe Lamboli. Of course, that was the one that spoke to the press. Deal completed with United. Sevilla will pay around a €6 million package, salary and fee for a 6-month loan. There is no buy option included in the agreement. It's done. Here we go. So once again, Romano confirming what he said previously with a bit of some extra details, again, that we weren't privy to there. But that kind of does jive with that report we were just talking about a second ago, saying that United will receive around 5 to 6 million, or they're going to save that, they believe, in salary or whatever. So that €6 million package, €6 million package, includes salary and a fee as well, which is ultimately what Manchester United were looking for. That's what Man United were looking for. We spoke about that before. The reports came out previously that United were only willing to let Martial go on loan in January if they got wages and they got a fee. We don't know if they've got the entirety of wages, but they've got essentially really what they want. 6 million with no option at the end of it. So we're going to get Martial back, or if Sevilla want to get Martial, they have to negotiate again. And Manchester United, once again, there will be in a position of power because they can negotiate a higher fee. If Martial is quality this season, that's always the issue, I suppose, is that this protects United, I think. I think this is a win-win. I see a lot of people in the live chat saying it's a win-win, and I do think so. I think it's good business here because I think it does protect United in the short term and in the long term as well, because sometimes if you have an option to buy and Martial goes there and does turn up trees, which I don't know will happen, but say he does go there and turn up trees and we've put in an optional fee of like 25 million or something ridiculous, we'd be like, oh, are you shitting me? He's worth way more than that. Way more. But now, with no option to buy, he still might go. Make no mistake, he still might go at the end of the season. He still might say, no, I want to go to Sevilla or I want to go somewhere else. I've decided I don't want to come back. That's fine. But United still have that element of control over the situation. And 6 million, getting the wages off the books for now. I mean, people are talking about Kamara, possibly 10 million. There's 6 of it, right? I know football doesn't technically work like that. This isn't Football Manager. But as I mentioned previously, Martial, now we know, deal done. It's happening. There is no buy option, but he's gone for now. Jesse Lingard looks to be next. 2 out, 1 in. That's a real possibility. And I think it's good for the environment as well. The Manchester United environment, not the global. I don't think Martial goes going to, cure global warming or anything like that. But I think that it's good for the environment at Old Trafford, as I spoke about before. And this is why I always said that he should go. is because the biggest problem at United is we have so many unhappy players. And why do we have so many unhappy players? Well, part of it is because we're obviously not performing as well as we should be, but the majority of people being unhappy at Old Trafford is because they were promised things that just aren't there. The majority of it being playing time. Now, in some other cases, in the case of like Paul Pogba, etc., he was promised that United were going to be winning things, and that's not happening either. But for a lot of players at Old Trafford, they were promised last season or the season before, whenever, they were promised, yep, you're part of plans, you're going to be starting games, you're going to be playing more, and that hasn't happened. And because of that, you've got all of these players, you've got a ginormous squad, we've got a huge squad of people that are unhappy and they don't want to be there. And given the failures this season and the underperforming nature of Manchester United this season, it's got to a point, hasn't it, whereby everyone's just looking at those players and saying, if you know what, if some of them don't want to be there, just go. And it's the same with Martial. And maybe it kind of feels a bit bittersweet now because he did come on at the weekend and do okay. But I guess if you take the weekend out of it, he still should go. If he is still unhappy and he still wants to leave, he should go. I don't think Manchester United should be in the business of keeping players that don't want to be there. Because ultimately, it's one thing to keep an unhappy player there if we're really succeeding, we're top of the league and they're really important. But when, we're fourth now, but a couple of days ago we were like seventh or whatever, what's the point in having unhappy players that aren't playing? So, and this could completely rejuvenate Martial. We could be getting Martial back at the end of the season that has a great 6 months in Spain and it's like a brand new signing, which is a cliche in itself, but that could be the case too. So I think it is a win-win, and I think it does protect Manchester United, and I think it's the right move. I really do. As David Lee says, guys, be sure to hit a like button as well. We've got over 400 people watching. Actually, let's see how many likes we got. I can't see. I've got so many windows up. I'm like when you look on like an old person's phone. We've only got 100 likes and we've got over 400 people watching. Smash a like on the like button, guys. I can already hear Josh screaming at me. I can already hear Josh and then separately Mike Feeling screaming at me, right? Exactly. David Lee says 102. Got to pump up those numbers. But I guess now it now turns the attention to Jesse Lingard. And I was going to talk about this tomorrow morning. I was going to do a stream with DJ tomorrow morning, which I'm not sure is happening now, because we were going to talk about tomorrow morning. We were going to talk about Martial, and then we were going to talk about Lingard, but obviously the Martial thing happened. This is the problem in January. Things just happen so quickly, just constantly, so quickly. So I guess if we talk about Jesse Lingard now, and again, I wish I had the reports up in front of me, but the reports were saying today that, some of the fees that were quoted, seriously, one of them, the report I saw was that Newcastle were going to offer 10 million to take Jesse Lingard on loan to the end of the season. 10 million. That's insane. And United, again, would be naive and silly not to take that. Why wouldn't they take that? Not only is that way more money than we deserve for Jesse Lingard, but that's a guy that's also, his contract's expiring at the end of the year, at the end of the season. And we know, it's not even like the Martial situation. Martial's still got time in his contract. Jesse Lingard has 6 months left and he has no interest, zero desire to sign on the dotted line and extend his stay at United. And nor should he, by the way, considering, again, he was one of those players that was promised playing time after leaving on loan last season and doing well for West Ham. He was then promised a place or more time at Manchester United in terms of playing, and it didn't happen, so he was furious. So the fact that Newcastle are offering any money for a guy that in 6 months could be free, United should take it, and they're not strengthening a top four rival. They might be strengthening a top four rival, next season or the season after, but who cares? Because he's going to be gone then anyway. So it looks more and more likely that deal is going to happen, reportedly because of the fees, of the money being quoted. Newcastle at this point are so desperate and rich, which is a deadly combination, by the way. Desperate and rich, they're throwing all kinds of stuff at the situation. So given those fees, Lingard could go. And then for me, I wasn't really holding out much hope for an incoming in January, frankly, because I wasn't even sure if we were going to get rid of anyone. And I certainly was not one of those people that was like, we should just bring people in regardless. Obviously, this United team does need a lot of improvement, specifically when it comes to the midfield. And if we could get a quality central midfielder, ideally a defence midfielder in January, that would be fantastic. But if we weren't getting rid of any players, the biggest problem, as I touched on earlier, is that there are so many unhappy players at Manchester United because they're not playing. Why would you add an extra player into that situation and then possibly another unhappy player? That doesn't make any sense. But if you're getting rid of 2 players, that certainly does open the possibility of bringing in another player to come in. So Martial and Lingard going out the door might facilitate a move for Kamara or Haidara. They look to be the more likely ones. Zakaria, I think Romano tweeted earlier today that I think Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund are talking to him, but a Premier League move looks unlikely, even though United had spoke to his agent, I believe, in December. That doesn't look like it's happening. Haidara, we keep getting linked to Haidara, don't we? Obviously, Rangnick's got history with him, and he's got history of Leipzig. I think Haidara's release clause comes into effect in the summer, but reportedly, a fee of over 30 million would be difficult for Leipzig to turn down. Kamara makes more sense considering the situation that he's in right now, in the sense that he, like Lingard, his contract's expiring at the end of the season, and reportedly Marseille, a bit like, unlike United, I suppose, but Marseille want to get some money for him, probably being around 10 million. But then again, all of that report came out today, and then Romano came out afterwards and went, no, they're not even negotiating, they're not even talking. So this is the problem when it comes to transfers. Who knows? It's crazy. Jim White says, is Dean Henderson leaving? I believe Samuel Luckhurst reported today as well that Dean Henderson would not be leaving Manchester United unless Manchester United could sign a backup keeper, which is just not a priority for Manchester United right now, considering everything else that's going on. Certainly signing up a new backup keeper is not a priority, so I think Dean Henderson isn't leaving. There was another thing as well, I believe The Athletic reported it, that obviously with the UK leaving the EU, it's technically for quite a few clubs that are, in Europe, it counts as a foreign player. A non-EU player, and a lot of clubs aren't willing basically to give up that spot. They're only willing to do it for specific players, because in certain places, I think is it Italy? You can only have 3 non-EU players or foreign players, and technically UK players count towards that as well now. So that makes the deal difficult for him as well. There was rumours previously that he was being linked to Tottenham, but obviously Hugo Lloris just signed a new, 2-year contract with Tottenham, so that's not happening either. So it looks very unlikely that Dean Henderson will be leaving in January, which of course he'll be frustrated about, but Ralph Rangnick really has sort of drawn his line in the sand when it comes to Dean Henderson. Spoke about 3 competitions, spoke about how we need 3 goalkeepers. Ultimately, when it comes to the summer, I wouldn't be shocked if Dean Henderson leaves then, because I think United will start looking into backup options. But as of right now, considering that we've got 6-7 days left, this time next week, right? 31st, it will be deadline day. And I don't expect Dean Henderson to be gone by then. One guy that will be gone, though, if you're just joining us, will be Anthony Martial. As you can see on the thumbnail, as you've probably seen all over social media, Anthony Martial's loan deal to Sevilla, whilst not being officially confirmed yet by Manchester United or Sevilla themselves, has been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. If you are just joining us, once again, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted, quote, Anthony Martial from Manchester United to Sevilla, done deal, here we go. Agreement reached tonight between the 2 clubs. Player has accepted. Sevilla was his priority. Sevilla will cover his salary until June. Martial will fly to Spain in the next hours. This was then followed up by Martial will fly to Sevilla on Tuesday with his agent Philippe Lamboli. Deal completed with Manchester United. Sevilla. Deal completed with Manchester United. Sevilla. The grammar sometimes in Romano's tweets, it makes it a very difficult read. Says as if I'm having a pop. Fabrizio Romano. Sevilla will pay around €6 million package, which is the salary and fee for a 6-month loan. There's no buy option included in the agreement. It's done. Here we go. So if you are just joining us again, Anthony Martial's loan deal to Sevilla has been near enough confirmed, and he will be going. But again, there's no buy option. He will, I guess, be returning up to Manchester United at the end of the season, but I guess anything else can happen. This is an interesting one. Brush says Ahmad could definitely do with a loan. I don't see him getting much game time. It was a shame that final move didn't happen in the summer. Stupid injury. That is true, Brush. It was very unfortunate. I mean, that one, again, I guess could happen, possibly. But I mean, I recall seeing that Feyenoord might be interested in coming back in for him on loan, so that's a possibility as well. Here's a contrasting opinion when it comes to the Martial move from Muxie. Says, bad deal in my opinion, far better player than Rashford and Greenwood. Fortunately, he can come back. However, this is clearly a Glazer money-saving exercise by replacing him with Elanga. Well, this is a curious thing as well, because I was talking to Flex on the phone earlier today. We were talking about the Martial situation. This is before really all the information really started to come out. It was just the general, because for the last month, basically every day, we've got a report saying Martial to Sevilla, Martial to Juventus, Martial to, I mean, they're primarily to Barcelona, but it was Sevilla and Juventus. They were the primary two clubs. Every day we've got a version of that story. And ironically, me and Flex were saying that, what can you believe? We hear this every day. What is going on? Why is this? What is going on? And then we were speaking, like I touched on, well, if Martial goes and Lingard goes, does that pave the way for someone else to come in? And we kind of almost said, like, maybe not. Because realistically, with Martial exiting on loan, like, I don't think they expected to have this rise of Anthony Elanga. I don't think they did, because Ralf Rangnick said it himself, right? Anthony Elanga was set to go out on loan, and it was really only because of his impressive training sessions and some impressive cameos that he had. It kind of, I guess, paved the way. If United were on the fence when it came to Martial, going, we might need him, we want to have a big squad, COVID, injuries, all this kind of stuff. We want to have options from the bench. We're not sure. Maybe the Anthony Elanga thing really did actually tip it over the edge, with Ralf Rangnick then saying to the board, actually, you know what? We've got a lot of competition on the left side anyway, with now Elanga emerging. And as some people said, to the end of the season, you don't have to pay Anthony Martial's wage. You get a loan fee. And Elanga's on, what? He's not even on $1,000 a week, is he? He's on like hundreds of pounds per week in comparison to Martial's $250. Maybe United and the board have just looked at it, purely from an economic perspective and said, you know what? It saves us a ton of money. And maybe that's what we need to do. And maybe saving us a ton of money, maybe they won't invest it. Right? Maybe they won't even try and splash out on someone in January, but maybe they just look at it as it's a no-brainer. We're going to get him back at the end of the season. The new manager that we bring in might rate him. The new coaching staff might be able to help develop Martial more, but we've got cover. We've got cover in that spot, and maybe it makes sense. We've got an unhappy player. We can get rid of an unhappy player in the short term. We've got a young player that's happy and wants to fight and is playing well. It just makes sense. DJ's in the chat, says, I'll miss Martial. You know what it is? It's one of those things as well, because I did sort of think about this, and it is true, because, and again, I like to be as transparent as I possibly can with you guys, is that, it's a bit like, you know what it is? It's a bit like when Ollie got sacked, is that you say that, Watford close to appointing Roy Hodgson as the new head coach. Can you believe it? As if this night couldn't get any more shocking. Martial's gone on loan to Sevilla, and Roy Hodgson's back in football to Watford. I'm glad I'm sitting down. I feel more shocked. I feel more shocked than the Martial one. God. God, I've come over in hot flushes. He's back. Jeez Louise, I've completely lost my train of thought with that one as well. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about people leaving and having a weird... I'm floored by the Roy Hodgson news. That was the last name I was expecting to see. Oh my God. I genuinely thought when that whole Ranieri stuff was happening here, I thought earlier on, say what, Solskjaer might actually go to like Watford or something like that. I could see it, I was not expecting Roy Hodgson. He just, fair play to him. How old is he? Well, he's into his 70s. I take that is, you talk about passion and desire. That's passion and desire for football and life. And I tell you what, he did a good job at Crystal Palace. A great job at Palace. I'm getting really sidetracked. That's thrown me off. 74, Scott is saying. 74. Unbelievable. Good for him. Was not expecting that. Why does all this news happen at like 11 p.m. as well? Luckily, just complete insomniac. This is my contribution to the United View side. Just completely, I don't sleep. That's why I've got these big bags under my eyes. But Martial, I mean, I'm going right off here. The Roy Hodgson thing. Now I'm going into my sleep patterns. It's just everything's just gone. Yes, it reminds me of the Solskjaer situation, in that it was the right. It was the right time. It felt like everyone knew it was the right call and the right time. Ollie had to go. He'd taken United as far as he could go. He had found his level. Everyone was like, yeah, he's a legend, but he's got to go, etc., etc., etc. And it's something that ultimately you probably, I don't want to say wanted, but you just felt like it was needed, right? But when it happened, and it was like Solskjaer's been sacked, and you're like, right, good, fine, good choice. United's taken a step in the right direction. But then when you saw like him do the interview, the exit interview on MUTV, and he was getting a bit, he was crying a little bit, calling Carricky top. He's top. And he was like, cut it. Don't let me see you cry. He's top. And you just felt a bit bad because it's like, I like the guy, and we found yourself in this situation, and it hasn't worked out, and it's a bit upsetting, and that's disappointing, and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of the same when it comes to Martial. Fortunately, he will come back, and maybe he will prove himself. But you say all these things, you see all these reports, and go, you know what? He should go. If he's not happy, he should leave. It's disappointing because when we signed him, right? You remember the euphoria? Great show, by the way. You remember the euphoria of signing him, and we were like, who is this guy? No one's really heard of this guy. And he was like, was he 18 from Monaco? And his debut, he comes on against Liverpool, scores the great goal. Martin Tyler going crazy on commentary. And you thought, oh my God, this guy, he's going to be, the people was like, oh, he's got a clause in his contract. We have to pay if he wins the Ballon d'Or. And you're like, oh, you wouldn't put him in there for nothing. You wouldn't put that clause in there for nothing. He must have real talent. He must be a real deal for it. We might have signed like the next big thing. This is exciting, really exciting. And you've got all of this praise coming out of the French media, and you're like, United have done some good business. Tremendous, great. And then when it kind of leads to all this, right? When was that? 2015? When it leads to all this, all these years later, and he's having to leave to go out on loan because he's not playing and he's not happy. And his agent came out in December saying that he wasn't happy and he's going to leave in January. And then you hear the what do they call it? Communication issue, shall we call it, between him and Ralph Rangnick about him not being available, and Martial coming saying, no, I would never say that, I would never do that, and all this back and forth. And now that he is gone, and I tell you what, once I saw the Photoshop of him in the Sevilla shirt, it does hurt a little bit. Like, I mean, it does, because you have some attachment to these players, don't you, or to Manchester United. So I guess the way to look at it as this is the best move for him right now. It's the best move for Manchester United. Certainly right now, financially, it makes sense. It's getting an unhappy player out the club. Potentially, it could be the best thing for him in that he can come when he comes back. He could be a different player. Or Manchester United could make even more money out of it, right? If Manchester United or Martial decides he doesn't want to come back, and United have already, purchased someone else, or the new manager comes in, who's to say that Eric Ten Hag, if it was Ten Hag, comes in and goes, no, I don't want Martial. No, I don't want him. He doesn't fit the way I play. Sorry, he can go. But he has a good season at Sevilla. Who's to say that a club in Europe doesn't go, actually, okay, then we'll buy Martial. I don't know how much. We paid 50 million. I'd want to get a return on it, at least 50. And I know people are like, that's not going to happen, but that's what I'd want. Then maybe it's better business for United, because he wouldn't go for that now. Not at all. So it just makes you a bit conflicted, it must be said. But again, if this leads to him and Lingard going, and it leads to a player coming in that can actually confirm Manchester United getting top 4 this season, who gives a shit? Let's be honest, right? Team comes first. This is what Ralph Rangnick said. The collective, the team matters. David Martin says, we haven't paid 50 million for Martial. Well, that was including the add-ons, wasn't it? So I guess some of them didn't completely go on. DJ saying, Donny deserves a loan. This is the thing with Donny's got a hold on DJ, and I've said to you several times, DJ, don't bring him up. You're only hurting yourself. You're only going to make yourself upset. You're only going to play with your own emotions. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't play with your emotions like that. Every time you bring up Donny, I say, don't go there, DJ. I don't know why you're going down that route. It's the path to unhappiness. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I was trying to make like a Star Wars reference, but I don't know if anyone's going to get it. Flex won't. I don't think Flex don't get the Star Wars stuff. But then again, I said the other day that I haven't watched Harry Potter, and I got slated for it. Really slated for it. But I mean, what do you think as well when it comes to Donny? Since DJ brought him up, and since I've already finished sort of talking about Martial, we can just go for an extra 10 minutes just talking about whatever. I've got the keys to the castle at the moment. Do you think this Martial loan makes it more or less likely that Donny van de Beek will be let go on a loan in January as well? For me, I think it almost makes it even less likely. I mean, he needs it at 100%, 1,000,000%. He needs to leave. Forget, temporary. He needs to leave on a permanent basis, because this is two managers now that, that haven't rated him. And maybe if it was Ten Hag that came in, maybe he would be the one to rate him. Maybe that would be the time that Donny really, comes out of his cocoon into a butterfly at Manchester United, which should imply he's a caterpillar right now, which I don't think is fair. But I think it makes it less likely. I do. And because also as well, because our options are so limited in midfield, right? That's why McTominay and Fred play so much. And as I mentioned on the full view and on the match reaction before as well, that I feel like the criticism on them is harsh. Should they be Manchester United's first choice central midfielders? No. They shouldn't, and that is a massive problem for United. I think it was Samuel Luckhurst came out today, said that Manchester United, Ralph Rangnick, basically everyone at the club has accepted the midfield as Manchester United's biggest problem on the pitch right now. And in the summer, we're looking not only for a defence midfielder, but also possibly an attacking midfielder as well. So they know, but because of the limited options we have there, we have what? Fred, McTominay, Donny, Matic as your central midfielders. Who else have we got? Not many. And I think given those options, that's part of the problem, is that if we had a plethora of options in those midfield, Donny would probably let go. But in the meantime, even though our options are so thin there, even when McTominay's injured or someone's suspended or whatever, Donny still doesn't play. Pogba's an option. I can't believe I forgot about him. It's because it's late and he hasn't played in age. But Pogba's an option as well. Yeah, I forgot about that. But who knows? I'm tired. Owen says, what do you think if United got Haaland, Neves and Kamara? It would cost what West Ham want for Rice, and you would get top three players. I tell you what, we're not. I wish, David Martin, that we would get Haaland, but I think that ship sailed a long time ago. I think there was a point in time where I kind of thought it could happen. Maybe at like the beginning of the season, I thought maybe it could happen if we had a really good season. But make no mistake, Erling Haaland is not going anywhere that's not got Champions League football. We're far from confirmed to have Champions League football. Erling Haaland isn't going anywhere that isn't challenging for titles and Champions Leagues. Manchester United, even if we qualify for top four this season, I would be very surprised if we were challenging for a title next season, just because I'm remiss to be optimistic about challenging for titles, because we were optimistic just about challenging earlier on this season. Look how miles off we still are. So Erling Haaland will be aware of that. I think a lot of people are saying that Man City might be in the driver's seat for Erling Haaland, and that worries me. It does, because let's face it, Man City get Erling Haaland. They're practically like unbeatable now, and they don't even have a striker. That would be concerning, really. It would be concerning. Kamara, I think that one is a possibility in January right now. As I mentioned, I think it does depend on outgoings, which Martial is one of them. Lingard might be the other. So that one could happen, and he's obviously out of contract at the end of the season too. So Marseille want to do a deal, but Romano poured cold water on that one earlier today. The Neves one, we did a Neves show, didn't we, previously? And I said that I wasn't sure he was the type of midfielder we were looking for now. He can certainly dictate tempo. He can pass the ball around, certainly more. I don't think he was the midfielder we were looking for if Rangnick was playing 4-2-2. If we're playing 4-3-3 like we are now, maybe. But we're not going to sign him in January, no doubt about it. It would have to be in the summer. And Wolves are doing great stuff. Wolves are doing, I mean, I think we said it as well several times earlier this season, because when we played Wolves at Molineux, when we scraped the win, and Wolves battered us that game. They absolutely battered us. And this was the case for a lot of Wolves' games earlier on this season. They played really well, a lot. They played really well in a lot of games, and the only thing that was letting them down was scoring goals. They've started to put the ball in the back of the net a bit more now, and where are they in the table? I think Wolves they're in the top half, and they're not even a million miles off like the top 6, are they? Bruno Lage is a good manager. They've got good players. I think Adama Traore is going to go to Spurs, which, to be honest with you, like I don't even rate Adama Traore that much. I think his end product is like awful. I mean, he's one of those players that on Instagram people go, Adama Traore, look at the highlights, and he's like pinging people off him like he's, I don't know, John Cena, and like flicking people off like that. And it's like, and people, he's jacked, all this kind of stuff. But his end product is the shits. I mean, it's awful. What's he got, like 2 goals or something like that in the last 2 years or something ridiculous? His end product's rubbish. The reason I'm worried about him going to Spurs is because I think that Conte is going to play him as a right wing back, and essentially he's going to say, I don't care about your final product. I don't even want you to try and cross it into the box. I want you to pick the ball up and sprint down the touchline, and then just simple, sideways pass, give it to a creative player like Son or someone like that. And if that is the case, that is concerning, because he will dominate that right-hand channel. And Conte won a Premier League with Victor Moses and Marcus Alonso as wing-back. So anything's possible there. I mean, that's next season, though. So that's the reason I worry about that, because I'm like, he could do something there. But, a lot of people talking about Basuma, saying that he would be a really good option. Yeah, I agree. I think he would be a good option. Again, not happening in January. Certainly would happen maybe in the summer. But again, that's a lot of things. And this is the kind of the problem as well. And it was another thing that me and Flex spoke about on the phone too earlier today, when we said that, with players possibly coming in January, for some players, it would be a risk coming into Manchester United right now, because there is so much uncertainty, right? So much uncertainty about what does United even look like next year. Think about it. All the questions surrounding United at the moment. Are they going to be in the top 4? Don't know. Who's going to be their manager next year? No idea. What players are going to be there next season? No idea. Cavani's out of contract. I mean, Martial's out on loan. Will he come back? Who knows? I mean, there's no guaranteed buy clause or anything like that, so it's a possibility. Lingard's not going to be there. I mean, if we don't finish top 4, people think Ronaldo's going to go as well. There's so much, just question marks hanging over the club. Is Rangnick going to be a consultant? What does that consultancy look like? How is he going to play in the backroom settings? We've also got a new CEO. He's going to change things. Apparently, he's talking to, pundits, ex-players like Gary Neville, because he wants to win them over and try and, change the narrative in the media as well. All this kind of stuff. There is so much uncertainty surrounding Manchester United that if you were a player that was approached by United going, do you want to come in? You'd be like, well, I don't actually know what I'm walking into. I know I'm walking into Manchester United. I know I'm walking into one of the biggest teams in the world. I know I'm walking into a side that has been underperforming this season. They're 4th right now, but they're very inconsistent. I also know that I might be walking into a very toxic dressing room, because a lot of people don't want to be there as well. All of that stuff plays into it. But at the same time, they'll be like, but I also know I'm walking into somewhere I can get paid very well. I know I'm walking into somewhere that's got a ton of history and the best fan base in the world too. So that's the kind of dilemma at the moment, isn't it, when it comes to all of these players? And I think also as well, trying to give some credit to Manchester United, I think also they're a little bit cautious, because they don't want to be in a position where they're so reactionary and they make decisions on the spur of the moment and bringing players in, and eventually it backfires even more on us. And that's what's got us into places before that have been bad situations. That's why it's got us into places where we're overpaying when it comes to wages and fees, etc., because we're panicking. And I think also United don't want to be seen as panicking when maybe at the same time as they should. So it's just a lot of it is very curious, isn't it, guys? But anyway, look, I've been going on for nearly 45 minutes. I mean, you can let me know, as always, what your thoughts are. If you haven't been able to join us live, you can let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe as well. Tomorrow, what is on tap for tomorrow? Well, again, we were going to do an early morning transfer show. I don't know if that's going to happen now. What is on tap for tomorrow that I can reveal is the Flex and KG show is back. The Flex and KG show is going to be in the evening tomorrow. I don't have an exact time, but I'm sure if you follow us on social media at United View TV on Twitter and Instagram, we will let you know the exact time. I'm assuming it, again, evening, so I don't know. 6, 7, 8, who knows? You'll be able to find out. KG's a very difficult guy to pin down. Very difficult. He's an actor. He's got big projects on the horizon. So he's difficult kind of pin down. And also as well, I've been protesting and campaigning for the KO show. I'm telling you now, it is going to happen. As David Martin says there, we did an OWEN and KG show. You know what? I'll drop a little bit. I'll drop a little bit of exclusive news here as well, actually, guys. For those that have decided to stay to the end of the stream here at past 11 p.m. is I was talking to Flex today, and I was saying, I'm telling you now, I've got ideas. And I said a couple of the ideas to Flex that I had for the KO show. If it does happen, and he was like, yes, I love it. Like, all I will say is that, and it's going to be different. It's going to be different to other shows. If it gets the green light, I'm protesting. You know what it's like? It's like when Ryan Reynolds wasn't sure that the Deadpool film was going to happen. So what he did, he just leaked it to the press. And then I think he leaked it to a journalist, and they put it up on YouTube. And then the video got like millions of hits on YouTube, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're going to do it. We're gonna do the Deadpool film." I might just do that with the KO show. I might leak it. I might leak it first, and then I'll get the green light. But no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We'll get the green light. Anyway, guys, look, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As I mentioned, plenty of content coming soon, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon. Have a good night.